Commander Daiho stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the stars through the main window. His vessel, the Silent Arrow, drifted quietly in the darkness of space. No lights flickered on its hull, no signals broadcast from its arrays. To anyone looking, his ship appeared to be just another piece of space debris floating through the void. This was how humanity had survived for 300 years. Daiho turned to his communications officer, Yunji, who sat at her station with headphones covering her ears. She was listening to the chatter of alien civilizations, thousands of conversations happening across light years of space. The galaxy was loud, always talking, always broadcasting. Every species except humans. Anything interesting today? Daiho asked. Yunji pulled off her headphones and shook her head. Same as always, Commander. The Galactic Assembly is holding another meeting about trade routes. The Kethrans are complaining about tariffs. The Vorlons want more representation in the Council. She paused. And they are still trying to find us. Daiho smiled slightly. The aliens had been trying to locate Earth for decades. They knew humans existed somewhere in this sector of the galaxy, but humanity had been very careful. No transmissions. No colonies on obvious worlds. No joining their so-called assembly. Minho, the head of Xenology, walked onto the bridge carrying a tablet. I have been studying the assembly records we intercepted last week, he said. Do you know how many first contact situations ended badly for the weaker species? How many? Daiho asked. 43%, almost half. The stronger civilization always finds a way to dominate or absorb the weaker one, sometimes through economics, sometimes through military force. Sometimes they just take over slowly, piece by piece. Yunji crossed her arms. We have been hiding for 3 centuries, Minho. Maybe that was smart at first, but we are not weak anymore. Our technology matches theirs in most areas. In some ways, we are ahead. That is exactly why we stay silent, Daiho said firmly. The moment we reveal ourselves, we become a target. Or worse, a threat they need to eliminate. The debate was old. Every crew member had an opinion. Some believed humanity should join the galactic community. Others thought the silence should continue forever. Earth's government chose caution over contact, watching over speaking. A sudden alert broke through the conversation. The computer system flashed red. Yunji rushed back to her station. Commander, I am picking up a distress signal. It is on all frequencies. Someone is broadcasting a desperate cry for help. Daiho moved to her side. Who is it? Yunji's fingers moved quickly across her console, translating the alien language. Her face went pale. It is the Velorans. Their home system is under attack. They are calling for help from the assembly. Minho pulled up the data on the main screen. The Velorans were a peaceful species, known for their art and philosophy. They had no military to speak of. Their worlds were gardens, not fortresses. What is attacking them? Daiho demanded. The screen showed images transmitted from the Veloran system. Massive black ships, organic in appearance, tearing through space stations and colonies. They moved like insects, swarming and destroying everything in their path. The Reavers, Minho whispered. I have heard rumors about them. They appear every few decades, destroy a civilization, then vanish. No one knows where they come from or why they attack. Yunji listened to more transmissions. The Velorans are begging the assembly for military aid. They are asking any species to help them. What is the assembly saying? Daiho asked, though he already suspected the answer. Yunji's expression hardened. They declared the Veloran system a quarantine zone. They are abandoning them. No military support. No evacuation ships, nothing. Silence filled the bridge. The crew watched the screens as Veloran cities burned. Millions of lives ending while the galaxy turned away. Minho spoke quietly. This is what the assembly does. When something threatens them, they cut it loose. Better to lose one species than risk spreading the danger. That is murder, Yunji said, her voice shaking with anger. They could send ships. They could evacuate civilians. But they choose to do nothing. Daiho stared at the images. He had spent his entire career following orders. Stay hidden, stay silent, observe but never interfere. But watching an entire civilization die while he did nothing felt wrong. His communication system beeped. Admiral Hyunwoo appeared on the screen, calling from Earth Defense Command. Commander Daiho, we are monitoring the situation with the Velorans. Your orders are clear. Maintain your position. Do not engage. Do not reveal yourselves. Admiral, they are dying, Daiho said. We have the capability to help them. We have the capability to get ourselves destroyed, Hyunwoo replied sharply. You do not know what those Reaver ships can do. You do not know if there are more of them. This is not our fight. Then whose fight is it? Yoonji interrupted, stepping forward. Sir, with respect, if we let this happen, what does that make us? Hyunwoo's expression was hard. It makes us survivors, Officer Yoonji. We have stayed alive for 300 years by being smart, not heroic. Commander Daeho, those are your orders. Hyunwoo out. The screen went dark. Daeho looked at his crew. Every face showed the same struggle. Orders versus conscience. Safety versus morality. The Velaran distress calls continued to fill the speakers. Children crying. Parents screaming. A civilization in its final hours, Minho spoke carefully. Commander, if we break silence, everything changes. Humanity will be exposed. Earth could become a target. The entire policy of 3 centuries ends. I know, Daeho said. But if we do nothing, Yoonji added, we are no better than the assembly we have been judging all these years. Daeho closed his eyes. He thought about humanity's long silence, the generations that hid in the darkness watching the galaxy from the shadows. They were careful. They were cautious. They were smart, but were they good? He opened his eyes and made his decision. His career was probably over. He might face a court-martial. Earth might never forgive him. But he could live with all of that. What he could not live with was doing nothing. Yoonji, he said quietly, open a transmission on all frequencies. She stared at him. Commander? You heard me. Broadcast in the clear. Make sure the Valorans can hear us. Make sure everyone can hear us. Yoonji's hands trembled as she worked. After 3 centuries of silence, humanity was about to speak. Channel open, Commander. Daeho took a deep breath. This is Commander Daeho of Earth Vessel Silent Arrow. Velaran people, we hear your call. We hear your pain. The galaxy may have abandoned you, but we will not. We are coming to help. Hold on. He turned to the navigation officer. Set course for the Valoran system. Maximum speed. The ship's engines, silent for so long, roared to life. Across the galaxy, thousands of species received the transmission. The assembly froze in shock. The Valorans wept with hope. And in the darkness of space, the Reavers turned their attention toward a new signal. A species they had never encountered before, a species that had been hiding in the silence. Humanity had finally answered. And the void trembled. The silent arrow dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Valoran system. What Daeho saw made his blood run cold. 5 planets burned. Orbital stations spun through space, torn apart like paper. Debris fields stretched for millions of kilometers. And everywhere, the black Reaver ships moved like sharks through bloody water, hunting for survivors. Lieutenant Jiwoo, the tactical officer, counted the enemy vessels. 37 Reaver ships, Commander. Most are frigate class, but I see at least 5 large ones that could be destroyers or carriers. We have 1 ship, Minho said quietly. How exactly do we fight that? Daeho studied the tactical display. The Reavers moved in predictable patterns, sweeping sectors methodically. They were efficient but not creative. That was their weakness. We do not fight them head-on, Daeho said. We use what we are good at. Hit and run, stealth, confusion. Jiwoo, load kinetic missiles. Yoonji, I need you to jam their communications. Make them blind. His crew moved with practiced efficiency. 3 centuries of preparation were about to be tested. The silent arrow approached the nearest Reaver frigate from behind, engines running cold. The alien ship had no idea humans were there. Daeho waited until they were dangerously close. Fire, he ordered. 6 missiles launched at point-blank range. The Reaver ship exploded before it could even turn. The silent arrow was already moving, disappearing into the debris field before the other Reavers could respond. First kill, Jiwoo reported, her voice tight with adrenaline. Reavers are changing formation. They know something hit them, but they cannot find us. Daeho allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had learned warfare the hard way, fighting each other for thousands of years before reaching the stars. These Reavers were powerful, but they had never faced an enemy that refused to fight fair. Over the next 6 hours, the silent arrow struck again and again. They destroyed 3 more frigates and crippled a destroyer. Each time they attacked from a different angle, never staying in one place long enough to be caught. But the real mission was not destroying Reavers. It was saving Valorans. Dr. Soo-Yun, the medical officer, stood in the cargo bay as the first refugees came aboard. The Valorans were tall, thin beings with pale blue skin and large eyes. They looked at the humans with wonder and fear. "We need medical attention," a Valoran elder said in broken galactic common. "Many are injured. Children are scared." Suyun had never treated an alien before. Human medical school did not cover Valoran biology, but she would learn fast or people would die. "Bring them all inside," she said. "We will figure this out." The cargo bay filled with refugees. Hundreds, then thousands. The Silent Arrow was not designed for this many people, but they made room. Humans gave up their quarters, their food, their supplies. The Valorans watched in amazement as these strange beings worked tirelessly to save them. On the bridge, Yunji intercepted a transmission that made her stomach turn. "Commander, I am picking up broadcasts from the Galactic Assembly. They are talking about us." The main screen showed High Arbiter Quellen, leader of the Assembly, speaking to the gathered species. "A new species has revealed itself," Quellen said, his voice a mix of shock and calculation. "They call themselves humans from a world called Earth. They have entered the Valoran system against our quarantine orders. They have engaged the Reavers with weapons technology we do not recognize." Another alien voice spoke up. "These humans are dangerous. They hide for centuries, watching us, learning about us, and we knew nothing. They could have been planning an invasion." Minho shook his head bitterly. "We save lives and they call us dangerous. The Assembly abandoned the Valorans, but we are the threat." Back on Earth, the situation was chaos. Admiral Hyunwoo stood before a military tribunal, being questioned about how he lost control of a vessel under his command. Counselor Tae-young, a government official, paced angrily. "Commander Daeho has exposed our location, our capabilities, and our existence to the entire galaxy. 300 years of policy destroyed in one transmission." "He saved lives," Hyunwoo replied calmly. "He endangered Earth," Tae-young snapped. "Every hostile species now knows we exist. They will come for us." Hyunwoo leaned forward. "Then let them come. For 3 centuries we hid because we were afraid of being discovered. But maybe the real question is whether they should be afraid of discovering us." In the Valoran system, Daeho received another transmission, this one from Earth Defense Command. Hyunwoo appeared on screen. "Commander Daeho, you are probably expecting me to order your immediate return and arrest." "Yes, sir," Daeho replied. Hyunwoo smiled slightly. "I am not going to do that. What you did was reckless, dangerous, and against direct orders. It was also the right thing to do. The government is furious, but they cannot recall you without revealing Earth's location. So officially, you are operating as an independent agent. Unofficially, you have full support. Reinforcements are on the way." Daeho felt relief wash over him. "Thank you, Admiral. Do not thank me yet. You started something we cannot stop. The galaxy knows about us now. That means we need to be ready for whatever comes next." The transmission ended. Daeho looked at his exhausted crew. They had been fighting for 18 hours straight. "How many Valorans have we saved?" he asked. 12,000 aboard our ship, Soo-hyun reported. "Another 20,000 on shuttles heading to safe zones." "But Commander, there are millions still on the planets." "The Reavers are not stopping," Ji-woo spoke up. "More Reaver ships are arriving. I count 15 new vessels entering the system. They're bringing reinforcements." Daeho clenched his fists. One ship could not save an entire civilization. But maybe they did not have to do it alone. "Yunji, open a channel to any species listening. Time to see if anyone in this galaxy has a conscience." The message went out across the stars. Daeho spoke simply and directly. "This is Commander Daeho of Earth. We are one ship trying to save millions of innocent people. The Galactic Assembly abandoned them. We did not. If there are any species out there who believe in protecting the weak, now is the time to act. Help us, join us, or stand aside and let history remember your silence." For long minutes, nothing happened. Then Yunji gasped. "Commander, I am reading hyperspace signatures. Multiple ships are arriving." Daeho tensed. "Friend or enemy?" 30 vessels dropped out of hyperspace. Ships from a dozen different species, small and large, military and civilian. They had come in response to his call. A voice came through the speakers. "Earth vessel. This is Captain Torvin of the Free Traders Coalition. The Assembly may be cowards, but we are not. We will help you save these people." Another voice joined. "This is the Kethran Defense Force. We stand with Earth. Let us show these Reavers what happens when the galaxy fights back." Tears filled Yunji's eyes. Minho smiled for the first time in days. Ji-woo readied weapons with renewed determination. Daeho felt hope rise in his chest. All ships, this is Commander Deho. Coordinate your efforts with my tactical officer. Let us save as many as we can. The makeshift fleet moved into action, human tactics combined with alien firepower. The Reavers, used to easy victories, suddenly faced organized resistance. Over the next 3 days, they evacuated 2 million Valorans. The cost was high. 8 Allied ships were destroyed. Thousands of crew members died, but they saved lives that the assembly had written off. As the last refugee ship prepared to jump to safety, Minho worked at his station, trying to crack the encryption on a captured Reaver data core. He had been working on it for hours. Suddenly, his screen filled with data. Navigation routes, target coordinates, attack patterns. His face went pale. "Commander," he said, his voice shaking. "You need to see this." Deho looked at the data. The Reavers were not random attackers. They followed a specific pattern, targeting systems based on some kind of list. And there, highlighted in red, was humanity's next problem, Earth Sol system. Marked as the next target, the Reavers had been coming for humanity all along. Deho's transmission had not drawn their attention. It had simply announced that their next target was awake and waiting. "How long do we have?" Deho asked quietly. Minho checked the calculations. Based on their travel speed and current position, they will reach Earth in approximately 90 days. The bridge went silent. They had saved the Valorans, but in doing so, they had revealed humanity to its executioners. The silence that had protected Earth for 300 years was broken, and now the price of speaking would be paid in full. Ambassador Nari walked through the halls of the Galactic Assembly headquarters on Concordia. It was her first day as Earth's official representative to the galaxy, and she felt completely unprepared. She had been a professor of ancient history just 3 months ago. Now she represented humanity to thousands of alien species, most of whom viewed humans with suspicion or fear. The assembly chamber was massive, a circular room with seats rising up like an amphitheater. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy gathered here to make decisions that affected trillions of lives, or at least that was what they claimed to do. High Arbiter Quellen stood at the center, his forearms gesturing dramatically. The human question must be addressed. They revealed themselves through violence. They possess military technology that rivals our most advanced members, and they hid from us for 3 centuries, watching, learning, preparing. A serpentine delegate hissed in agreement. They are too dangerous to allow independence. They must submit to assembly authority and share all their technology. Nari felt anger rising in her chest. She raised her hand to speak. Quellen looked at her with thinly veiled contempt. "The assembly recognizes the human representative," he said coldly. Nari stood, her voice steady despite her nervousness. "High Arbiter, the assembly keeps saying we revealed ourselves through violence. But we revealed ourselves by saving lives. Lives that you abandoned. Where was the assembly when the Valorans were dying?" Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. Quellen's expression hardened. The assembly made a strategic decision based on containing the Reaver threat. "One species is a regrettable loss, but we prevented the infection from spreading." "Infection?" Nari repeated. "You're talking about people. Millions of people. And you did nothing." Over the next 3 weeks, Nari learned how the assembly really worked. It was not a democracy. It was a power game. The strongest species made the rules. The weak species followed or were crushed. She also learned something more disturbing. The Reavers were not a random threat. Someone was controlling them. Late one night, a hooded figure approached her quarters. The being was small, moving carefully through the shadows. "Ambassador Nari," the figure whispered. "I have information about the Reavers. Information the assembly does not want you to know." Nari tensed but allowed the being inside. It was a Valoran, one of the refugees they had saved. "My name is Elder Kelran. Before the attack, I worked in our intelligence services. We discovered something terrible about the Reavers." The Valoran handed her a data crystal. 3 species in the assembly have been guiding the Reavers. They cannot control them directly, but they can redirect them toward chosen targets. They have been using the Reavers to eliminate rival civilizations for decades. Nari felt sick. "Who are they?" "The Zorlaxians, the Vren Collective, and the Hive Courts. 3 of the most powerful members of the assembly. They have been committing genocide and hiding behind the Reavers." "And Earth?" Nari asked, already knowing the answer. "They marked your world for elimination the moment you revealed yourselves. The Reavers are already on their way. Back on Earth, General Kyung-ho stood in the war room beneath Geneva, surrounded by holographic displays showing the Sol system. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid was being transformed into a weapon. "How long until we are ready?" he asked his staff. An officer replied, "All defensive systems will be operational in 60 days. The orbital platforms are almost complete. The asteroid belt automated defenses are online. Mars factories are producing ammunition around the clock." "And the quantum barrier?" Kyung-ho asked. Engineer Heijin looked up from her console. "The barrier generators are ready, but General, I need to be clear about something. If we activate the quantum field at full power, it will destabilize the Earth's core. The planet will be uninhabitable for decades. So we win the battle but lose our home," Kyung-ho said quietly. "Only if we use maximum power. At lower settings, we might hold them off without destroying the planet. But it will be close." On the colony world of New Haven, Captain Bora read the evacuation order from Earth Command. All colonies were to be abandoned. Every human was to return to Earth to help defend the home world. Her second officer spoke carefully. "Captain, the order is clear. We need to leave." Bora looked out at the settlement her people had built over 3 generations. Fields of crops, schools, homes, lives. "No," she said firmly. "New Haven is our home too. If Earth fights, we fight. Send a message to command. Tell them New Haven refuses evacuation. We will defend our world." Across human space, other colonies made the same choice. Humanity would not retreat. They would stand and fight together. Back at the assembly, Nari prepared for the most important speech of her life. She had Kelrin's evidence. Now she needed to use it. The chamber filled with delegates. Quellen stood at the center, preparing to call for a vote on mandatory human submission to assembly authority. Before he could speak, Nari stood. "High Arbiter, before any vote. I have evidence the assembly needs to see." Quellen frowned. "Evidence of what?" "Proof that the Reavers are not a natural disaster. Proof that certain assembly members have been using them as weapons. Proof of genocide." The chamber exploded into chaos. Delegates shouted at each other. The 3 accused species tried to leave, but other members blocked the exits. Nari transmitted the data to every delegate's console. Communication logs, navigation data showing Reaver ships being redirected, financial records of payments between the conspirators. The evidence was overwhelming. A Zorlaxian delegate tried to speak. "This is human manipulation. They are trying to divide us." Nari turned to face him. "This data comes from Valoran intelligence, not human sources. You killed them and they still found a way to expose you." She addressed the entire assembly. "For centuries you have let these species commit murder while you looked the other way. You created an organization that protects the powerful and sacrifices the weak. Humanity will not join that. We will not submit to corruption and call it peace. But we will stand with any species that wants real change. Any civilization that believes in protecting each other instead of competing for power. The Reavers are coming for Earth. We will fight them, and we invite anyone who wants a better galaxy to fight alongside us." Silence fell over the chamber. Then slowly delegates began to stand. First dozens, then hundreds. Species that had been oppressed by the Assembly's power structure. Worlds that had watched loved ones die while the Assembly did nothing. They were choosing sides. And many were choosing Earth. Quellen watched his organization fracture. "This is rebellion. You will all be declared enemies of the Assembly." Nari met his gaze. "Then the Assembly is finished. We are forming something new. A coalition based on truth, not power. Join us or get out of our way." She walked out of the chamber. 50 species followed her. The galaxy was splitting into factions, and Earth stood at the center of the divide. Daeho watched the news from his ship as it traveled back toward Earth. Humanity had gone from hidden observers to galactic revolutionaries in a matter of months. Admiral Hyunwoo contacted him through secure channels. "Commander Daeho, you started this by saving the Valorans. Now the entire galaxy is watching to see if we can save ourselves. The Reavers will be here in 30 days. Will we be ready?" Daeho asked. Hyunwoo smiled grimly. "We have been preparing for this for 300 years. The silence was never about hiding. It was about getting ready for the day we would have to fight. Let me tell you something, Commander. When you sent that transmission to help the Valorans, you were not breaking protocol. You were following it." "What do you mean?" Daeho asked, confused. "The Reavers were always coming for us. We detected their pattern years ago. We knew Earth was on their list. We could have stayed hidden and hoped they would miss us. But that is not survival. That is just waiting to die. So instead, we made a plan. Draw them to us, on our terms, in our system, where we have had centuries to prepare the perfect trap. You were not supposed to reveal yourself at the Valoran system, but once you did, it actually helped. The Reavers now know exactly where we are. They will come in full force, and we will be waiting. Deho felt a chill run through him. You planned this? All of it? Not all of it, but enough. Humanity's silence was not fear, Commander. It was preparation. We watched the galaxy kill itself with politics and power games. We learned from their mistakes. And when the time came, we made sure we would be ready. The Reavers think they are hunting us, but they are wrong. They are walking into a trap that has been 300 years in the making. Welcome home, Commander. The real fight is about to begin. The transmission ended. Deho looked at his crew, all of them exhausted from their rescue missions. They had saved thousands. Soon they would need to save billions. The silent arrow turned toward Earth. Behind them, an armada of allied ships followed. Ahead of them, the Reaver fleet approached, confident in their inevitable victory. But the Reavers had never faced humanity before. They had never encountered a species that prepared for war while hoping for peace. They had never fought an enemy that turned their entire solar system into a weapon. Humanity had been silent for 3 centuries. Now they would speak with fire and steel, and the void would shake with the sound of their answer. The Reaver fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. 3,000 ships, black as the void, moving in perfect formation. They had destroyed countless civilizations. Earth would be just another conquest, or so they thought. General Kyung-ho watched from Earth Command as the enemy fleet appeared on the tactical displays. 300 years of preparation came down to this moment. All stations, this is Earth Command. The Reavers are here. Execute Defense Plan Omega. Show them what happens when they threaten our home. The outer solar system lit up with weapon fire. Neptune, the most distant planet, revealed hidden batteries that had been placed over decades. Missiles launched from its moons, thousands of them streaking toward the Reaver fleet. The Reavers destroyed most of the missiles easily, but the attack served its purpose. It revealed human capabilities. The Reavers accelerated, rushing forward to crush this resistance quickly. They pushed past Uranus. More weapons fired from hidden stations. The Reavers lost 12 ships but kept advancing. Then they reached Saturn. The rings of Saturn exploded outward. What looked like ice was actually billions of kinetic projectiles, each one moving at incredible speed. The effect was like a shotgun blast on a cosmic scale. The Reaver fleet sailed directly into the storm of metal and ice. Shields flickered and failed. Hulls tore open. Dozens of ships spun out of control, crippled or destroyed, but they kept coming. 2,700 ships remained. Jupiter waited next. The massive planet had been turned into a staging ground. As the Reavers approached, the gas giant seemed to split open. Thousands of human ships emerged from the clouds where they had been hiding, engines cold, waiting in ambush. Fleet Admiral Deho commanded the vanguard. His voice echoed across the human fleet. All ships, weapons free. Give them hell. The battle at Jupiter was brutal. Human ships used tactics the Reavers had never encountered. They fought in pairs, covering each other. They sacrificed damaged vessels to take out larger targets. They used the planet's gravity to slingshot around enemies. Commander Jiwoo led the suicide squadrons, small, fast ships loaded with explosives. She dove her craft straight into a Reaver capital ship, punching through its shields and detonating inside its hull. The massive vessel broke apart. Jiwoo and her entire squadron died in the attack, but they took 20 Reaver ships with them. The Reavers lost 400 ships at Jupiter, but they adapted and pushed through. The survivors were learning human tactics, getting harder to kill. 2,300 ships continued toward Earth. The asteroid belt was next. The Reavers expected more conventional defenses. They were wrong. The belt had been hollowed out over decades. Every major asteroid was a weapons platform. Every piece of rock hid automated drones. As the Reavers entered the belt, 1 million small craft activated simultaneously. The drones swarmed like angry insects, overwhelming Reaver point defenses through sheer numbers. They attached to hulls and exploded. They clogged engine ports. They blinded sensors. The Reavers could destroy hundreds, but there were always more. And while the drones distracted them, Deho's fleet attacked from behind. The trap was sprung. The Reavers were caught between the asteroid defenses and the human fleet. They were no longer hunters. They were prey. The battle raged for 8 hours. Space was filled with explosions, debris, and death. Human casualties mounted. Entire squadrons were wiped out. But for every human ship destroyed, 10 Reaver vessels died. By the time the Reavers fought their way out of the asteroid belt, only 1,200 ships remained. Mars rose before them, red and deadly. The planet was one giant factory, and it had been building weapons for centuries. Orbital platforms surrounded Mars in layers, each one bristling with guns. The Reaver commander must have realized something was wrong. They had lost more than half their fleet and had not even reached Earth yet. But they could not retreat. Reavers never retreated. They charged Mars, desperate to break through to Earth. The Martian defenses opened fire. Railguns threw metal at relativistic speeds. Laser arrays carved through Reaver armor. Missile swarms darkened space. The colony ship from New Haven arrived during the battle. Captain Bora had refused evacuation, and now she made her colony proud. Her civilian vessel was modified with every weapon they could attach. It was not pretty or sophisticated, but when Bora rammed it into a Reaver carrier, both ships exploded in a fireball that destroyed a dozen nearby enemies. The Reavers broke through Mars, but only 700 ships remained. And they were damaged, exhausted, running low on ammunition. Earth and its moon lay ahead. The Reavers saw a blue and white planet, beautiful and vulnerable. They did not know that the moon held 10 million soldiers. They did not know that every orbital station was a fortress. They did not know about the quantum barrier generators buried deep in Earth's crust. They attacked with everything they had left. The lunar batteries fired first. Hundreds of massive guns, their projectiles so large they could be seen from Earth. The moon was not just a natural satellite. It was humanity's final fortress. The orbital stations engaged next. These were not normal space stations. They were military installations disguised as research facilities and manufacturing centers. Their weapons had been built specifically to kill Reavers, designed from data captured in the Valoran system. But the Reavers were desperate now. They knew this was their last chance. They threw themselves at Earth's defenses with suicidal fury. 50 Reaver ships broke through the orbital defense. They entered Earth's atmosphere, targeting major cities. Deep underground, Dr. Hagen stood at the quantum barrier control station. Her team surrounded her, faces grim. They all knew what activation would mean. "Doctor, we have 50 Reaver ships in the atmosphere. They will destroy the cities," an officer reported. Hagen looked at her team. "If we activate the barrier at minimum power, it might not stop them. But if we use full power, the planet becomes uninhabitable." A young technician spoke up. "What about moderate power?" "We calculated it would destroy the Reavers but leave the planet damaged, not dead." "And kill everyone in this facility," Hagen said quietly. "The reactor will melt down. We will not survive." Her team looked at each other. Then one by one they nodded. "Moderate power," Hagen decided. "Save the planet. That is all that matters." She initiated the quantum field. The planet hummed with energy. An invisible wave pulsed outward from deep within the Earth, passing through rock, water, and air. When the wave touched the Reaver ships, their biomechanical systems went haywire. The quantum field interfered with the organic components that powered them. The ships convulsed, twitched, and fell from the sky like poisoned insects. In orbit, the remaining Reaver vessels also fell silent, their systems failing one by one. But underground, the reactor temperature spiked. Red warnings flashed across every console. Hagen watched the temperature climb past safe levels. "Evacuate the facility. Everyone out, now." "Doctor, you need to leave too," her assistant pleaded. Hagen smiled sadly. "Someone needs to manage the shutdown. If this reactor goes critical, it will trigger a chain reaction. The planet will die anyway. Go. Tell my family I did what needed to be done." The facility evacuated. Hagen worked alone, rerouting power, venting heat, doing everything possible to prevent total meltdown. The temperature continued rising. Above ground, people watched the sky as the last Reaver ships fell. Cheers erupted across the planet. Earth had survived. Deep underground, Dr. Hagen sent one final message. Then the reactor exploded. The facility collapsed. A brilliant scientist who had saved billions died alone in the darkness. Fleet Admiral Deho surveyed the battlefield from his ship. Debris filled the solar system. Thousands of dead. Both sides had paid in blood, but not a single Reaver ship had escaped. Earth stood victorious. Battered, bleeding, but unbroken, General Kyung-ho broadcast to the entire solar system. His voice carried exhaustion and pride in equal measure. People of Earth and all our colonies, the battle is over. The Reavers came to destroy us. They failed. We have proven that humanity cannot be broken. We have shown the galaxy what happens when you threaten our home. But victory has a cost. We lost millions today. Heroes like Commander Ji-woo, Captain Bora, and Dr. Hagen gave everything to protect us. We will honor them. We will remember them, and we will make sure their sacrifice means something. Across the galaxy, every species watched the battle recordings. They saw humanity fight with a ferocity and coordination that shocked them. The silent watchers had revealed their true nature. They were not merchants or diplomats. They were warriors who had prepared for this moment for 300 years. Ambassador Nari received thousands of messages at the coalition headquarters. 50 species that had joined humanity now sent congratulations and pledges of support. Even neutral species were reconsidering their positions, but the old assembly was silent. The conspiracy species that had directed the Reavers to Earth realized their terrible mistake. They had not eliminated a rival. They had created a legend. Admiral Hyunwoo contacted Daeho as repair crews began salvaging the battlefield. Well done, Fleet Admiral. Earth survives because of you and your crew. Daeho looked at the casualty reports. The cost was high, Admiral. Too high. War always costs too much. But now the galaxy knows the truth. Humanity stayed silent not because we were afraid, but because we were preparing. 1 year after the battle for Earth, Chancellor Nari stood at the window of Coalition headquarters looking down at the gathering below. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy had come to celebrate the anniversary of humanity's victory. But Nari felt no joy. The coalition was growing, but it was also fracturing. Success brought new problems. Director Tae-young entered her office without knocking. He was a human official who believed Earth should rule the coalition, not guide it. Chancellor, we need to discuss the situation on Kethros Prime. 2 coalition species are fighting over mining rights. Their dispute could turn into war. Nari sighed. What do they want us to do? They want human peacekeepers. They trust our military more than each other. We are not an empire, Tae-young. We cannot police every dispute. Tae-young leaned forward. Then what are we? We defeated the Reavers. We exposed the assembly conspiracy. 50 species joined us because they believed we would protect them. If we do nothing, they will lose faith. And if they lose faith, the coalition falls apart. Before Nari could respond, Ambassador Minho arrived. Chancellor, the neutral bloc is requesting a meeting. They are concerned about our military buildup. What military buildup? Nari asked. Minho showed her a datapad. Earth has constructed 12 new battleships in the last year. Mars is producing weapons at 3 times the pre-war rate. The neutral bloc thinks we are preparing for conquest. We are preparing for defense, Nari protested. There are other Reaver fleets out there. We need to be ready. That is what we tell them. But the neutral bloc remembers history. Every powerful species claims they build weapons for defense. Then they use them for conquest. The meeting was interrupted by an urgent transmission from Grand Admiral Daeho. His face appeared on the screen, and he looked tired. Chancellor, we have a situation. Old assembly forces attacked one of our supply convoys near the border. They claim we violated their territory. Did we? Nari asked. Technically, yes, but the territory they claim includes 3 coalition member worlds. They are trying to force us into recognizing their authority. Tae-young spoke up immediately. We need to respond with force. Show them we will not be pushed around. That would start a war, Minho objected. We are already in a cold war, Tae-young countered. Better to fight now while we have the advantage. Nari looked at Daeho. What do you recommend, Admiral? Daeho was quiet for a moment. I recommend a proportional response. Destroy the ships that attacked our convoy. Make it clear we will defend ourselves, but do not escalate further. Not yet. Do it, Nari ordered. 3 hours later, Daeho's fleet eliminated the assembly ships that had attacked the convoy. It was a clean military action. Precise, professional, deadly. The old assembly responded with outrage, calling it an act of war. But they did not attack again. They had seen what happened when they pushed humanity too far. But the incident troubled Daeho. He had followed orders and defended coalition assets. Yet watching those assembly ships burn, He wondered if he was becoming the kind of commander he once despised. Someone who solved problems with violence because it was easier than finding another way. Meanwhile, Yunji worked in coalition intelligence, deep in secure facilities beneath the capital. She barely slept, spending every hour analyzing captured Reaver technology. One night, her assistant found her staring at a screen, eyes red from exhaustion. "Director Yunji, you need rest." "I am close to something," Yunji muttered. "The Reavers are not random. They follow patterns. Someone programmed them, someone controls them. We know that already. The conspiracy species redirected them." "No," Yunji said sharply. "The conspiracy species could nudge them, suggest targets. But they could not control them. The Reavers have a prime directive. Something deeper. I am trying to find it." She worked for 3 more weeks, barely eating, refusing to stop. Then she found it. A signal embedded deep in Reaver code. An address. A location. The Galactic Core. Yunji called an emergency meeting with Nari, Daeho, and Minho. She looked terrible, but her eyes burned with discovery. The Reavers are not independent. They are weapons, created by something in the Galactic Core, and they are responding to a recall signal. "What does that mean?" Nari asked. "It means all the Reaver fleets across the galaxy are being called home. Every single one. They will converge on the core. We need to know why." Daeho studied the data. "No one has explored the Galactic Core. Ships that go there do not come back. It is a region of black holes, radiation storms, and worse. Then we will be the first to return," Yunji said. "Because if we do not find out what created the Reavers, this will happen again. Another wave of attacks. More civilizations destroyed. We won the battle, but we have not won the war." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what she was suggesting. An expedition into the most dangerous region of space, searching for an enemy that might be more powerful than the Reavers themselves. Minho spoke carefully. "If we do this, it cannot just be humans. We need the coalition to come together, maybe even the old assembly. This threatens everyone." Taeyong, who had been listening from the doorway, scoffed. "The assembly will never work with us. They hate us. They fear us," Nari corrected. "There is a difference. Fear can become respect. Hate is harder to change." But Minho is right. This is bigger than politics. If the Reavers have a master, every species needs to know. Over the next month, Nari negotiated with every major faction. Coalition species agreed immediately. They trusted humanity. The neutral bloc was harder to convince, but the Reaver recall signal scared them enough to participate. The old assembly refused at first. Then Minho worked his diplomatic magic. He met privately with moderate assembly members, species that had not been part of the conspiracy. He showed them the evidence. He appealed to their survival instincts. Slowly, reluctantly, some assembly species agreed to join the expedition. A united fleet began to form. Human ships, Velaran vessels, Kethran warships, and even a few assembly cruisers. Natural enemies preparing to face a common threat. Daeho was chosen to command the expedition. He accepted, though he felt the weight of responsibility crushing him. This mission could either unite the galaxy or tear it apart completely. The night before departure, Nari visited his ship. "You look worried," she observed. Daeho smiled without humor. "I am commanding a fleet of species that do not trust each other, heading into a region of space that kills everyone who enters, searching for something that might be unkillable." "Yes, I am worried. You did not have to accept this mission." "Yes, I did. I started this when I answered the Valoran distress call. I broke the silence. I revealed humanity. I drew the Reavers to Earth. All of this is because of choices I made. I need to see it through." Nari put a hand on his shoulder. "You saved millions of lives, Daeho. You gave the galaxy hope. Do not let doubt destroy that. Hope is dangerous, Chancellor. Hope makes people take risks. Hope starts wars. Hope also ends them," Nari replied. "Come back safely. That is an order." The expedition fleet departed 3 days later. 200 ships from dozens of species united by necessity, if not trust. As they jumped to hyperspace, heading toward the galactic core, the galaxy watched. Some prayed for their success. Others hoped they would never return. Everyone wondered what they would find. On Earth, Nari returned to her office and found Taeyong waiting for her. "Chancellor, while Admiral Daeho is away, we need to strengthen our position. The coalition needs firm leadership." "It has firm leadership," Nari said tiredly. "It has uncertain leadership. You negotiate, You compromise. You try to please everyone, but the galaxy respects strength, not kindness. Nari looked at him with steel in her eyes. Taeyong, humanity spent 300 years preparing for war. We became very good at it, but if all we know is strength, we will create a galaxy of enemies. I would rather build a galaxy of allies. Allies are temporary. Power is permanent. Then you have learned nothing from history. Every empire that ruled through power eventually fell. I will not let humanity make that mistake. Now get out of my office. Taeyong left, but Nari knew he was not alone in his beliefs. A growing faction of humans believed they should dominate the coalition, not serve it. The debate over humanity's role in the galaxy was just beginning. Meanwhile, the expedition reached the outer edge of the galactic core. Space became strange here. Stars were packed so densely that night did not exist. Radiation levels spiked. Navigation became difficult, and they began to find ruins, massive structures, ancient beyond measure, floating dead in space. The remains of civilizations that achieved wonders humans could barely comprehend. All destroyed, all silent. Yunji analyzed the ruins. These species were billions of years old. They built megastructures around stars. They manipulated gravity. They transcended physical form. And something killed them all. The Reavers? A Velaran scientist asked. Yes, but the question is why? The Reavers do not kill randomly. They follow a pattern, a purpose. They traveled deeper into the core. More ruins appeared, entire systems stripped of life, planets reduced to rubble. The scale of destruction was incomprehensible. Then they detected the signal. The Reaver recall. It was stronger here, broadcasting from a single point ahead. Daiho ordered the fleet to proceed carefully. Whatever is broadcasting that signal created the Reavers. It has existed for millions of years. We are not here to fight. We are here to